What is up, everyone? We are here talking about my picks for champions in 2026. Well, we'll talk about fighters that will become champion in 2026 and then ideally retain that title at the end of 2026. That's what I'm trying to predict. I'm just kind of going off of the feels I have and what I've seen from these guys' performances in 2025 as the year comes to a close. And I want to just kind of predict what I think are going to be the future champions of each division. So, starting off, I got Taisura Taira is going to be champion in 2026 in the flyweight division. I really do believe this. There's something about this guy that I just feel like he's going to fight for the title. Maybe next, maybe Manel Kopp will jump past him since he knocked out Brandon Royval. But I feel like once Taisura Taira eventually gets that title shot, he's going to win. And the thing is, like, I don't know who he'd fight next anyways. Like, it wouldn't really make sense to fight anybody else besides for the title because, I mean, he just beat Brandon Moreno, who is a former champion himself, and TKO'd him. And I think just this guy's skills, he's young. I mean, this dude's like, what, 20-something years old, I think? Man, this UFC page always sucks. I can never even tell what I'm looking at. I don't know how old he is. I want to say he's like 28 or something. He's really young. He might even be younger than that, but he looks great. Like, he has one loss, and that's against Brandon Royval himself, which isn't a bad loss. I mean, it was a split decision. He's improved a lot from that loss. He's had better striking, and just like his overall jiu-jitsu is so world-class. Like, I think he beats, if I'm being real, even though I picked Josh Van to win the title, I think Taisura Taira beats him. I think he beats Manel Kopp. And I think he has a really competitive fight with Pantoja whenever Pantoja may come back. It probably won't be until late 2026, I'd imagine, just because I think he's gonna have a long layoff with that arm break, and he wants to be in tip-top shape, and especially at his age, I would definitely suspect him to be out for quite a bit. So I got Taisura Taira being the champion in 2026. And at the end of 2026. But we'll have to see when exactly. Maybe it'll be like end of the year, honestly. It might be end. But his Manel Kopp might surpass him. So, moving on to the bantamweight division. Petr Yan. I gotta be real, man. That performance against Merab, dude, I wrote this off. I said Merab was gonna just smoke him. It's gonna be just maybe somewhat competitive, but like, how do you stop Merab? Because Merab looked incredible in his 3 title defenses before that. And Petr Yan went out there and just showed so much improvement, and just, he looked incredible out there. Truly, he looked amazing. I wasn't even going to watch this fight. I wasn't even going to watch it because I was like, Merab's just going to win again. You know, what a big deal. And I started watching it, and I was like, I think I started watching the second round, and like those tweets that pop up in the corner, they were saying like, hey, Petr Yan 1-0. And I was like, what? Really? And so I was watching it, and I was thinking to myself, holy shit, Petr Yan is doing this. Like, he is stuffing every single takedown. He's doing so good and not panicking and like trying to scramble out super like fast. He's just like, he's taking his time in the single leg, stuffing the head, getting out of the takedown offense of Merab. And on the feet, like when Merab couldn't get him down on the feet, Merab's screwed because Petr Yan has such better boxing than he does and striking in general. And dude, he looked incredible. I could see a 50-45 for that round, or for that fight, my bad. Which is absolutely insane. I think even in a rematch, I think it might be competitive, a little bit more competitive, with Merab like shaving off maybe 1 or 2 rounds off of Petr Yan. But I think overall, Jan he looks so incredible, and I think he's gonna retain the title at the end of 2026. I suspect Sean O'Malley's gonna beat Song Yudong at UFC 324, and he'll get a title shot probably like the end of the year. And Peter Yan will probably fight Merab, you know, maybe around, let me think, maybe like April time, May, possibly. And yeah, he's going to beat Merab again, close decision, and then he's going to fight Sean O'Malley. And we'll see how that goes, but there'll be a 5-round fight. I know the first one was pretty great, so I'll be looking forward to seeing that. But I think Peter Yan retains the title and beats both Merab and Sean O'Malley this year, or in 2026. So that's my pick for bantamweight. Moving on. I know what you think. Featherweight division, Lerone Murphy. There's no way, right? Dude, I have a sneaky suspicion that this guy is going to beat Evloev. I think they're going to do like a fight night in London or something in the UK. This is going to be the main event. He's going to beat Evloev. And at that time, I will see what happens with Volk versus Diego. I hope Volk is still champion at that point, because I would love to see this matchup between Lerone Murphy and Volk. Truly, that would be an incredible matchup. He's undefeated. I know people are saying like, oh, dude, Aaron Pico, what's the big deal? He's a Bellator fighter. But truthfully, people were picking Aaron Pico to beat Lerone Murphy. And Lerone Murphy was an underdog in this fight. And it's crazy to me like how people just switch up like, oh, dude, he knocked him out, so he was never that good, you know? But people were hyping up Aaron Pico like crazy, man. And I actually watched this fight live in Chicago. And before that, I told my friend, I was like, dude, you got to bet on Lerone Murphy. He's an underdog, like he's going to win. And I convinced him to do that. And he had a freaking spinning elbow. Dude, so well timed. So well timed. Man, I know he didn't look that great against Josh Emmett. He kind of struggled against him. But still, he moves at his own pace, and he kind of like paces the fight to his advantage, it seems. He's somewhat chinny. I mean, he got dropped by Dan Ige. I think Dan Ige shaved off a round from him too, but dude, I just have this like suspicion that Lerone Murphy could be like that sneaky underdog pick that people just like, he just comes out of left field. I don't know. He's undefeated. So is Movsar Evloev. I'm assuming that they're probably gonna fight. It would make sense for a #1 contendership. It should be in Australia during the UFC 325 card, but a UK card would make sense as well. So yeah, that's kind of like my odd pick for featherweight. Moving on to lightweight, no surprise here. Ilia Topuria. I know he's out for a bit, you know, dealing with legal issues with his wife and those issues and such, but I think with such a long layoff that I bet we can expect from this guy, because, you know, you got Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje for an interim title. By the time that Ilya's back, I feel like he's only going to fight once next year. And it would just make sense to me. Maybe he'll fight like Arman at the end of the year, but I highly doubt it. And regardless, I think Ilia beats him. I don't think Ilya's going to move up to welterweight right away. I think he's going to stay in lightweight for the time being. Maybe he'll try to move up, but I couldn't imagine him up in welterweight, man. He's only like 5'7", and I feel like he would look so undersized. But yeah, regardless of the point, he's going to be champion in the lightweight division. I think he knocks out Paddy. I think he knocks out Arman. I just don't think that anybody's going to be stopping this guy. Like, truthfully, Ilia is one of the best fighters right now in the UFC. And it's impressive. And it's sad to see like how inactive he's been. in, the recent couple years or so. So, um, hopefully he comes back stronger than ever, but I have him as my pick for the lightweight division, as retaining his title for another year. So, moving on to welterweight division, I know what you guys are going to say. You cannot pick JDM to be champion in 2026. Well, I did. I'm kidding. I'm not actually picking Jack, but if we're being real, if Jack goes out there and beats someone like a top, contender, like someone like Shavkat or Michael Morales or Ian Gary, dude, he's right back in the title mix. And you can't argue against that. It makes sense for someone to fight him, especially Shavkat. Shavkat, since he's been so inactive, that is a matchup I can imagine for Jack. I'd be scared to death for Jack, but you got to be real. Like, one really good win like that, because the welterweight division is so stacked right now, one good win, Jack is right back in the title picture and could be fighting for a belt, like the third quarter of the year or something like that. But that's not my official pick for the welterweight division. I won't lie to myself. I got Michael Morales. Dude, Michael Morales, I think he has it, man. I think he has what it takes to be the champion. He looked incredible against Sean Brady. And I picked Sean Brady to win. I thought Sean Brady was going to go out there, get him down on the ground, go to the decision, but, be competitive, maybe like a 29-28 decision. But no, not even close. Michael Morales had a perfect game plan out there. He looked twice the size of Sean Brady, and Sean Brady's a big dude. He's a stocky dude. And Michael Morales goes out there and knocks out the number one contender in the first round. In what, like under 2.5 minutes? Or not, yeah, like 2.5 minutes, I think. Who, like, seriously, I know it's like cliche to say this, but who does that to Sean Brady? He's undefeated, 19-0. I just feel like if he goes out there against someone like Islam, he's going to have a similar game plan. And the thing is, too, what I suspect is Islam won't be fighting for too much longer. He's, I think, 34, going on 35 here in the next, I don't know when his birthday is, but you tend to see a regression of fighters' like skill level or just like capabilities when they turn like 35. It just kind of seems that way in some cases. I don't suspect that Islam's going to drop off like crazy, but I'm just saying, like, with the with his mentor Khabib retiring so young and, having all these like declarated like record, and then also the title defenses against, Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, it just makes sense to me that when Islam beats the Anderson Silva record of longest win streak, say he goes out there and beats Ian Gary or something, I would not be surprised if he retires and that's it. And then there's a vacant belt or something like that for Michael Morales versus whoever it may be. But even with that said, I think Michael Morales does have a chance against Islam. Dude, he's huge, and he looked really good. And it's like, who does that to Sean Brady? Who does that to Gilbert Burns? Like, he knocked out Gilbert Burns in the first round, and like Gilbert Burns didn't have anything for him. And then immediately, like, people are like, oh, dude, Burns is washed. Like, that's why you beat him. He's a washed-up fighter. It's like, yeah, but he's still Gilbert Burns. Like, it's not like this is just some random in the apex, Like, I think really highly of Michael Morales now. I undermined him severely against Sean Brady, and yeah, dude, I think he's the real deal, and I think he should be fighting for the title next. But I mean, he knocked out the number one contender in the first round. How do you not get a title shot from that? But anyways, enough with that. That's my actual pick for welterweight division at the end of 2026. Let's move on to middleweight. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Now, Dude, I really think he's gonna be champion because I know Kamzat has looked in a way incredible. I don't think his performance at UFC 319 was remarkable. I think it was impressive that he was able to, control Drakus for so long, but overall, it really wasn't anything spectacular. You know what I mean? With Fluffy, man, I think he's going to beat Sean Strickland at UFC Houston because Sean Strickland, I'll just give like my kind of like early prediction for this, but I think Sean Strickland, he's so used to just point fighting and kind of just like going at his own pace and just like kind of avoids the danger. But with Fluffy, man, he's going to create that war. He's going to, close that distance in between Sean to make him comfortable and just put on a pace. I think Sean's capable of going to quote unquote war with his fighters, even though he says he will all the time but never does. I think Fluffy he's so good, dude. In his cardio, he's looked so great. I know I'm switching him on Rainer de Ritter now, but truthfully, like seeing that Rainer de Ritter fight against Brendan Allen, I am glad Fluffy had to pull out because it would have been a hard watch. It would have been an extremely hard watch. But dude, he deserves a title shot after he beats Sean Strickland, and I think he has a good case to beat Kamzat. And also, if Kamzat's being, truthful with what he's saying, with how he's saying like, oh, I'm gonna get one title defense, so it'd be against Nasruddin Imavov, and then he's gonna move up to light heavyweight for a second belt. If he's being real with that, like if that actually happens, that means a vacant belt is on the line. Just a heads up, I'll be talking about a lot of vacant belts in this video. So that means probably thinking about Michael Morales, Anthony Hernandez versus, I don't know who it would be. Probably Drakus, honestly. If Drakus goes out there and like fights him like Brendan Allen, beats him, bro, he's right back in the title picture because, he was the champion. That is a likely scenario where Fluffy fights Drakus and for the vacant middleweight title. So I got him, Anthony Hernandez, being champion in the middleweight division. I know it's kind of like another underdog kind of pick, but man, I truly believe in a lot of these. So next, speaking of light heavyweight, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the autism maxer himself, Yuri Prohaska. Dude, Yuri is so good, and it's incredible how this man continues to just, if you can't knock him out in like the first or second round, or if your initials are not AP, like he's gonna win. Dude, we saw it against Jamal Hill, knocked him out in the third round. Saw it against Khalil Roundtree when he was down 2 rounds, knocked out Khalil brutally. Like, Yuri is that man. Like, he is that guy. He's a former champion. The only reason he relinquished his title because he was injured and he's going to be out for too long. He never lost his title. Obviously, he's lost against Alex Pereira 2 times. So if he was to rematch Alex, which I don't think he will, I have a sneaky suspicion that Alex is going to go up to heavyweight. It seems pretty likely, honestly, to fight Cyril Gane or something. So in that case, Yuri Prohaska is probably going to be fighting Carlos Ulberg for the vacant light heavyweight belt. And Carlos Ulberg, I hope not. He cannot knock him out. I really hope Carlos Ulberg does not have that one punch power. I mean, we saw against Dominic Reyes, but Dominic Reyes, I love Dom Reyes, but obviously, like, he's a little chinny. I was rooting for him, obviously. Big underdog in that fight, and I really wanted Dominic to win. But besides the point, Yuri Prohaska, he's just destined to be champion again, I feel like. Like, dude, the dude is so good. And, like, if you slow down his actual, like, fights and his movements, it actually makes sense. It doesn't seem like just a like random stuff, but there's actually some type of style to it, and it's amazing. He's one of my favorite fighters. So I got Yuri Prohaska to be champion in the light heavyweight division by the end of 2026. Let's go for that. All right. The last one to talk about, we got heavyweight division. Like I've said before, I have a suspicion, because Alex has been hinting at it, that he's going to move up to heavyweight, and he's going to be the champion. He's going to be the first 3-division champion in the UFC. He's going to fight for the interim title against Ciryl Gane as Tom Aspinall's out with the eye poke injury. And then once Tom does come back, I think that Alex can knock him out. Really, man. Like, I don't know. It's just the fact that he went 5 rounds with Magomed Ankalaev, who was all these guys are like touting like, oh, dude, the wrestling's gonna be too much for Alex. He got controlled by Jan Blachowicz. Islam Makhachev's even claiming like, oh, dude, give him Ankalaev. Give him Ankalaev. See what happens. We saw what happened. Even with Alex most likely being injured in that fight or being extremely sick, there was something wrong. There had to have been something going on. Even with that, he was able to stuff, I think it was 11 out of 11 takedowns. Like, who's going to take him down? And if he does get taken down, he just got Glover Teixeira to back him up and, give him the pointers to get back up. His training leading up to the first Magomed fight worked perfectly. And in the second one, when he wasn't injured, which he had to have been injured, like the difference, it was a polar opposite Alex in both fights. Like in the second fight, he just comes out there like he has a vendetta for Ankalaev and just KOs him in the first round very effortlessly. Dude, I think he does the same thing to Ciryl Gane. I think he does the same thing with Tom Aspinall. Alex is so technical in his striking or in his kickboxing that I really do think he has what it takes to put the lights out of almost all heavyweights. Obviously, Tom Aspinall is really good. It wouldn't be crazy to me if he did. Like if Tom Aspinall ended up winning. But, dude, just to say, like, Alex is going to be the first 3-division champ. It's going to happen, man. So those are my picks for 2026 champions at the end of the year. So we'll see how well I do. Looking forward to it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.